Empowerment company Brimstone Investment says it's managed to whittle down its debt further. For the 6 months ended June 2024, the company reported that revenue declined by 39% to 2 billion rand compared to the same time last year, while reporting a loss per share of 121.2 cents per share compared to a profit of 35.6 cents per share last year. The company has characterized the period under review as a challenging one, but positively, Brimstone has managed to continue to whittle down its debt. Well, to unpack the results for us, I'm joined by Mustaq Brey. He's the CEO of Brimstone Investments. Thanks very much, sir, for joining us. Now, for the longest time, you've had a substantial interest in Sea Harvest. It was once described as one of your subsidiaries, but is now an associate company. Just unpack that for us and how this has affected your numbers.
Yeah, thanks very much for giving us opportunity to explain that. We did not sell any of the shares in the company. Sea Harvest did another transaction. They bought another company called Sands. In doing that transaction, they placed another 60 million shares, and because of that, we went below the 50% requirement to be a holding company. As such, we've now got about 45% of Sea Harvest who haven't sold any of the shares. And in doing that, the fact that we are not the holding company anymore, we had to do an accounting adjustment, which resulted in us having to take a write-off of just under 600 million rand, a write-down. That's a book entry. Doesn't affect our bottom line. And that's why, if you can see at the headline level, we actually have showed an increase in profit. Our headline earnings is up by more than 100%. What we did is we equity accounted Sea Harvest for 2 months because the transaction was concluded in May. And then it was taken as a subsidiary of Brimstone.
Understood.
Yeah, so it's not really, we're at the headline level, in actual fact, we made a bigger profit, quite honestly. So,
all right.
And we didn't sell off any of our shares in that company.
Understood.
We still got all our 159.5 million shares.
Right. Now, you also have an interest in Oceana, which helped to offset the loss with its positive contribution. But generally, how is that operation going? Are there any challenges that's experiencing?
Well, it's got similar challenges to what's happening to Sea Harvest as well and other whitefish companies, in that at the moment, hake fishing hasn't been great for the last few months. However, Oceana is buffered by the fact they've got a very big business in the US, down in New Orleans, where they produce fish meal and fish oil, and that's been doing very, very well. Their results, their half results were out in March. Period ended was March. It came out in May, and you can see from the numbers which we then took as our portion of the equity accounted earnings, it was very, very positive. They're really doing very, very well out there in the States at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Brey, one of your missions has been to deal with your debt. You indicate that you managed to settle over 350 million rand worth of debt in the period under review. But in that process, of course, you had to sell some of the shares that you owned in a number of empowered companies. Are you winning in terms of reaching your debt targets?
That's one of our primary jobs. We're going to repay 600 million by the end of December 2025. So we've got another 16, 17 months left to do that. We're on target to do what we wanted to do. And in line with that, we've so far repaid 357 million during this period. Of that, about 250 million was capital, and the balance of just over 100 million rand was in actual fact interest, which had accrued for the first 6 months of the year. But we're very, very positive and that we will be able to repay that further. So the initial target is to repay 600 million by December 2025.
Awesome. So part of the reason for having to urgently whittle down the debt has been the high interest rate environment.
Absolutely.
But as you look forward now, are you cautiously optimistic about the interest rate environment? And what's your outlook for the operating environment for the companies that you have an interest in?
Look, obviously, in a lower interest rate environment, everybody does better. When basic commodities like food, right? Everybody eats every day or tries to eat every day. And as such, we believe if there's lower interest, people have smaller bond payments and have smaller car payments to make, and therefore they'll have more disposable income. And as such, we believe it will be very, very positive if interest rates are reduced. It's very, very high at the moment. And we're all living in hope at the moment. It looks like worldwide, it's the same debate, where people all over the world are battling to meet their current commitments due to the high interest rate environment everywhere in the world. So we're hoping that in the next few months, we're hoping for at least a 50 basis point reduction between now and the end of the year.
Yeah.
And if we get lucky, it could be higher than that.
Well, let's be hopeful. Thank you so much, Mr. Mustaq Brey. He's the CEO of Brimstone Investments. We're going to take a quick break.